Hello everybody, welcome to the Northern Film Review. This week we have got another guest on, the wonderful Danny Lavin, to talk about his fantastic sort of production process of making his most recent film that's going to come out very soon, Those Who Do Bad Things, and he's going to be going through the pre-production process, all through the production process, all the difficulties that kind of came up and how he sort of dealt with it in a larger crew, and sort of delving into the wider world of third-year production films and how that sort of works in a university environment. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Hello everyone, how are we all?
I'm cracking. Thanks for having me on board.
It's alright, it's alright.
Excited to be here.
Yeah. Are you tired?
I am extreme. Well, I don't know anymore.
You don't know?
Past the point of knowing stuff now.
Just constant delirium.
Yeah. We wrapped this morning at 3:30.
3:30.
I think.
Yeah.
And then we
4
got
maybe?
home at like 4:30.
Mm.
Had to unload the van with all the equipment into our house, and then I got to bed at 5:30 in the morning.
Mm.
And then we had to get up at 7:30 to reload the van and take it back to uni.
Yeah.
So I've had like 2 hours sleep.
In a sense, what is sleep?
Yeah.
What is sleep?
I just don't know.
It's quite hardcore. Because I was on the shoot as well, and I woke up a little later, but I'm still feeling it. I think the whole because we filmed for 4 days, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which is, it's not a lot, but it does a lot to your body.
It takes its toll.
Yeah.
It's a very intense process.
Especially lifting up very heavy C-stands and stuff like that. It's a lot of work, and just sort of loading it onto the van and holding equipment for a long time, and doing sort of like weird shoot times. Because with filmmaking, I think what people think often is like you spend a day, you film some stuff, and then you sort of edit it over a week, and then you've made a full feature-length film. But it's a lot of sort of weird times, isn't it?
Yes.
To get the sort of the certain lighting that you want, and whatnot. So if your film's at night, you got to film it at night time. You've got the other mic, Luke. You got to film it at night time, which is quite interesting. But
well, the interesting thing is if you have, say, a scene that takes a minute or so.
Yeah.
That's like that's like at least 3 hours to shoot, probably.
Yeah.
So that's 3 hours to shoot at night time.
Yeah.
And so that's getting to location. I'll move my phone. That's getting to location, getting equipment ready, getting actors ready, doing crew rehearsal, and then doing every single take, and then making sure sound's okay, making sure camera's okay, and then you don't just shoot one scene in a day. You got to shoot a lot of scenes in a day.
Yeah.
And so it's that times 3 or something like that. And so you end up, it has to be dark outside, but then you end up shooting into ungodly hours, and you lose all social life and the will to live.
Yeah.
That's only like a few days out of your life, though.
It is. It is only a few days.
They don't. But then people don't realise. Oh, you got pre-production. Pre-production takes ages.
Pre-production takes so long.
Yeah.
It's when you watch a film, you don't think about the amount of time and effort, paperwork that's put into making the film before even a camera is turned on. It's ridiculous. And producers have it the hardest, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you say, it's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
And it's awful.
Yeah.
Unless you like paperwork, then it's
Yeah.
Sadists, as we call
Yeah.
them.
Also, Luke, do you want to come around a bit closer to the microphone? As these microphones have gone and died.
Bit of technical difficulty.
Yeah, we love technical difficulties. But so Andrew was the producer for Those Who Do Bad Things, and his sort of what I'm always quite interested in is sort of like creative dynamics within teams and stuff like that. So how do you find working with Andrew in sort of a production sense and a pre-production sense, and working with him on set and stuff like that?
Me and Andrew had a very interesting relationship because we're on a uni project, we only had one producer.
Yeah.
And because of the nature of the scripts, it's a dark drama, thriller, revenge film, and so a trope that comes with that genre is a lot of locations, and also usually quite a few characters. And so we had a lot of locations to scout, which takes a long time, because on big budget films you have location scouts, but we didn't have that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of paperwork to do, We had to get action coordinators. We had to find special effects artists, which for practical fire effects on set. So we had to find them. We had to find sources of revenue to finance the film, find all the locations. Then you got to find the actors. You got to do all the paperwork, and so there's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff, and just too much for one person to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially with all the emails going back and forth, and so Andrew did almost all 90% of the producing work, and I just helped out here and there with little bits and bobs just to make sure he wasn't drowning and wanted to jump out a window every day. Yeah, and Andrew. One thing that when Andrew came on board, I was quite keen to get a producer who would challenge me, not just on budgetary fronts, but also on creative fronts. So I wanted to be challenged because I also wrote the script and now I'm directing the script, and that's very tunnel vision of what the film's going to look like and feel like, and so there needs to be some sort of challenge in order to make the film as good as it can be. And so from a producer point of view, I wanted to have some sort of dialogue, an open dialogue, just to create that dynamic relationship between us both. Yeah.
That's cool. So you mentioned about sort of like crowdfunding and stuff like that. So would you like to talk a little bit about that process and how you sort of came about doing it?
Oh, it's awful. It's the worst. Because before you start crowdfunding, you have to have people who would like to see the film. And so you have your initial friends and family who will give you £5, £10, maybe more if you're lucky. And then you have people who you don't know and don't know you who might just want to see the film. But in order for them to know you, you need to have some sort of social platform that you can reach out to, and so you have to build an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, or whatever page for your film, and for that you have to have content, because obviously social media, you need content, and you need to be engaging, and it needs to be frequent, and you need to have set times when to post. And so to start crowdfunding, you need to start with social media, and I am awful at social media. And I'm sure Andrew will back me up here. He is also awful at social media. And so we essentially failed on the social media front. I'm not going to lie. We did not do a very good job. I just forgot to post.
Yeah.
Andrew would, because Andrew and myself, we live in the same house, and he lives in the bedroom next to mine, and he just like knock on my door at 9 o'clock at night and shout through the wall, "Danny, you forgot to post on social media." And I'll be watching The Office, and I'll just have to turn around, grab my phone, and just like do a quick post, just whatever I could pull out my arse, really. And yeah, it just didn't do very well. Social media.
What was the hardest part about crowdfunding in general? Was it apart from what obviously social media? Because a lot goes beyond crowdfunding, like you mentioned. Was there any other difficulties that you faced during crowdfunding?
Yeah, it's keeping people engaged. So when you first put the crowdfunding page up, you get your first initial wave of funding, and then it dies down again, and that's when social media kicks in, because that's when the constant revenue, that helps constant revenue to come in. But it's keeping people engaged and wanting to keep invested in your film. And proving to people as well that your film is worth investing in, and not the 1,000 other student films that have set up a crowdfunding page in that week. So, you know, there's a lot, it's very saturated, there's a lot of films, student films, and most student films are student films, and 1% of student films are just like normal films.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you want to get, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm not saying that those who do bad things is going to be not a student film in the film, because we don't know that yet, because we don't have a film, because we don't have an assembly yet.
Yeah.
So we don't know, but we'll see.
Is that a conscious thing you felt throughout like making the film? So like, is this going to be studenty?
Yes. Yes, big time. Because as soon as you make a student film, people will turn off because people don't really care.
Yeah.
People just want to watch a film. They don't want to watch a student film.
No.
So you want to try and combat that, and it's quite hard to define what a student film is. It's just when you see a student film, you just kind of know.
Yeah.
Just tonally, I think tone's one of the hardest things to get right.
Low budget, sort of.
Yeah.
The college teacher said you can tell a student film's a student film with insert shots of someone making a cup of tea or of opening a fridge with the camera in there. Like there are some like tropes within student films that every student uses.
It was all a dream.
It was all a dream, stuff like that. And they're like, oh yeah, I can tell it's a student film because they know they did that or they did that. Yeah, it can be used in feature length films, but for short films, you can tell that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a place for like, you know, a shot of a character opening a fridge door and the camera's inside there.
Yeah.
It's just how tactfully you go about that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and it is quite interesting. That's something I've tried to put in my own work. Is like, is this like too tacky, or am I just sort of like putting it in because it's like, because I think there's lots of tropes of sort of student films, like I said, it's all a dream, and you know, like weird POV shots and like breaking the line and stuff like that, and whatnot. But it is quite a difficult thing. So you said you wrote the script and you write director, aren't you? So because like you, I sort of pitched to everyone. If you would like to go through like that sort of process, because it's quite interesting the way we do it at film school. Is sort of like this big auditorium of people who all look at you and all sort of like vote on you, some sort of weird Hunger Games-esque terribleness. But yeah, so how was that for you? Did you was it something you like naturally gravitated towards, or?
Well, one thing to point out on what you just mentioned there about standing up in front of an auditorium of people.
Yeah.
Because it's film school and we're in our third year, you're not just voting on the film, you're also voting on the person.
Yeah.
Because we know everyone. And so if you've worked with that person before, or you've heard rumours, or you just happen to have bumped into this person at a party and they happen to take one of your beers that you didn't give permission to, then you might be more inclined to vote for your friend or somebody else, even though their film might be a good idea. And so there's that to combat as well, which is weird. And now I can't remember your question.
I was sort of asking how it was for you. I mean, it's quite a weird one, really, just sort of standing up in front of so many people. I think you don't really get that with documentary, but it's
no, documentary. We were in a round table basically. There's 12 of us in documentary. Well, I say 12, about 15 of us in documentary. And then we just pitch one by one, and it's kind of like what. I don't think in real life pictures you go into an auditorium and do that. You go to the producer or the body, whoever, Lionsgate,
the production company.
Production company who wants to have your film. You go to like the big office and there's like 3 people in there and that's it. Yeah, they're like film shows. Yeah, there's pitching seminars where people pitch for a film. That's something like what you guys did. But I don't think it normally. If someone's writing a script or pitching, it's like in a boardroom, really. I think. Yeah,
this is a bit of a weird one, but you know, I think that's sort of like the ever sort of like presence of like, you know, film school. But when before like university, what made you sort of like want to come to film school, and what was like sort of like the direction you took to sort of get to film school?
Okay, well. The very first thing that I wanted to do, as career-wise, was be an archaeologist.
Okay.
Because
you do look like an archaeologist.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You got that vibe.
And that was because I watched Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But then I found out that archaeologists don't carry around whips and run away from big stone balls.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's the point in being an archaeologist then? If you just like dig in the ground.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to be like a zoologist because I don't know why. I just did because I liked animals. And then I realised, oh wait, okay, I can be an archaeologist with a whip because Harrison Ford was. And so, okay, I'll be an actor. And so I was like, okay, I want to act now because acting's cool, acting's fun, I can make things explode and run away from big monsters.
Yeah.
And so I pursued acting for a little bit. And whilst I was doing that, I tried to make myself. I was trying to make videos where I could, I don't know, be Harry Potter with visual effects and do things just by myself, filming myself.
Yeah.
and visual effects was one thing that you can do by yourself all the way through, and so I started practicing that. And then I realised that doing visual effects is really fun.
Yeah.
And filming yourself is really fun. And so I was like, okay, well maybe I want to be a filmmaker.
Okay, cool.
Behind the camera.
Yeah.
And whilst I was on different sets, either being a background artist or a support or a minor supporting actor, I watched crew work and what directors were doing and what gaffers were doing and how people talked about stories and characters and where to put the camera and how to shoot a scene and where to put a light. I found that really interesting, and so I was like, okay, well maybe this is something that I want to do. And through doing stuff by myself, so making my own visual effects clips, filming myself, I started to get a grasp of not every aspect of film, but basic cinematography and composition settings and that sort of vibe, and then also editing and visual effects, and then also a bit of directing as well, because you're essentially directing yourself, so you're directing someone. I don't know if that's pretentious or not, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I find quite interesting about your work is it does, like you said, you do a lot of sort of visual effects stuff. So I've seen a couple of your like previous films and sort of a music video that you did, which is all quite interesting. So like the film you made last year was sort of World War II drama, and it was sort of like interesting sort of dance scene in it. There was lots of sort of visual effects sort of stuff. So like, how did you find making that film to sort of this film that you're making now? So like, what was the second year film easier to make and sort of less stressful compared to this one, or the sort of thing?
The second year film was much less stressful, and that was because of the dynamic of the crew.
Okay.
And the situation we were in. So during second year, it was the height, well, not the height of COVID, but it was when COVID was much more of a big deal.
Yeah.
And we could only have crews of 6, and we were told where to film, and we had a lot of creative restraints set by the university. And we picked our own crew, and I essentially worked with my housemates and 2 people who weren't in my house. And so one of my housemates was the director, and I was the cinematographer.
Yeah.
And so I was the cinematography team, essentially. It was just me.
Yeah.
And me and the director had a very good relationship, so I essentially storyboarded and shortlisted and took it to him after reading the scripts and was like, yo, dude, what do you think of this? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Because it was quite... The script was very interesting because it had a lot of challenges in that script, because it was a World War II film. We were told where to film, and that was at the university campus in the middle of a forest. And it was a dance film. And
so what do you mean by dance film?
So the final, I suppose it's the final act of the film, it's just a dance.
It's just a dance scene.
It's just a dance scene. I won't spoil anything in case you want to watch it. It's called One and Only. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to go and see it. My YouTube channel is called Danny Lavin. That's my
nice
name.
plug, yeah.
Yeah, that's my name. So you can go and watch it on there. But essentially, at the end, this soldier dances with his partner in this hyper-realistic world through the forest. And before that, there's a war sequence. And so me and the director had to figure out, okay, how do we film a war sequence and make it look nice and make it look good?
Do you have any influence for it? Like any existing films that helped you go to that style?
Yes. So the one thing to point out is that the film was... most sequences were shot in one take.
Okay, that's cool.
Nice.
Why was that a decision you made?
Because if you're going to make something feel real and down to earth and gritty and make your audience be with the character, if you don't cut and you just follow the character all the way through, for me personally, that puts me directly in the scene with the actors and the location and
That's
the
why
setting.
1917 is so good then.
Exactly.
Because it's pretty much seamless
Yeah.
as a one-shot film, even though there are little cuts.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, one shot in.
Did you get
air
influence
marks.
from that then? If it was one shot war film, then
I think so. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I think we did, but more so Birdman. I think.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, more so Birdman, just because that felt really immersive. For me, that felt more immersive than 1917.
Yeah.
Mm.
And one thing to point out is that we had £100 budget given by the uni, and we had to make a war scene. So we don't have explosions, we don't have mud, we were only allowed one actor, we couldn't have any extras, and so you got to make this battle scene with one person on set, with no explosions, and make it feel real.
Just throwing mud at him.
Just throwing mud.
Very difficult situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and so doing one take is one way you can really make it really immersive, and you can hide things because you can look down at the feet, and then you can go around into a profile, and you can hide things behind the face, and then you can use audio off screen, and then you can throw dirt over the actor, and then they can go behind a tree, and you can use the tree to block out the background, and you can get an explosion just behind the tree, and then he can run past the camera, and the camera can tilt down at his feet again, and you follow tracking behind him down at his feet, and then he falls over, so then you go down to the ground, and then you can get bullet streaks going over his head, and then he gets back up, and you carry on follow him, and then he goes behind a tree, and then the camera runs round him, and you whip round really quick so you don't see anything in the background. So there's ways of hiding things, and if you do it in one take, you can be really fluid, immersive, and also not have to spend a hell of a load on production design.
So what you just did there, you sort of like going through each of the shots and sort of like thinking through it in your head. Is that how you like imagine films then? It's sort of like going the whip pan, following, and just sort of like thinking really sort of like laterally.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that was quite impressive. I was really sort of imagining it when you were saying it. I was like, I'm getting this film. You know, I've seen it, but like I'm imagining it.
I think that's how it works in my head. I don't really know. I've been asked this before, and it just kind of appears. And when you read a script or think of a story, it's all about, okay, how do I want to experience the story with the character?
Yeah.
And so how is the character feeling, and where do I want the actor to be in order to feel that? And so it's not always about the character. Sometimes it's about the action around the character, and so it's about finding a balance between those two things, essentially. Yeah.
Cool. So you've also done some other sort of extra projects as well. So you've done a music video for is it Flat Moon?
Flat Moon. Shout out to Flat Moon.
Yeah. they were here at the radio station a couple of months ago.
Oh, sick.
Being interviewed by one of the people. Which is quite an interesting thing. So what when directing sort of music videos and sort of like short films, is there like a different sort of like because they're obviously both short visual mediums. Is there like a different thought process you've got to go through from them, or is it sort of a similar sort of pre-production and post-production pre-production sort of phase for it?
I think music videos are quite different, and that's well, the music videos I've done at request of Flat Moon is they're narrative-based videos. And so they want to follow a story. And for Flat Moon's music video called Demise, for their song Demise, they came to me with an outline of the story that they wanted. And I then padded it out and had a few ideas, and then I went back to them and said, oh, hey guys, what do you think of this? And I gave them film references, and we talked it through. And because the dynamic between the director and the band is much more different between the director and cinematographer and an actor. Yeah. Because in the music video I did, the actors were also the band members. Yeah. And they're also the producers, and they're also they're the talent. That is for them. So if they want something, you do it, and you find a way to do it. Yeah.
Is it kind of like, in a way, like when you pre-production, like during a short film or any film really, you read the script and then break that down. But when you say it's narrative based, is it following the actual song? So do you break down the song and then what like things inside the song you can put in the So like you say, it's like some shit like Eminem for example when he's
he did a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. It's
No, but I know.
Like Stan is about the guy writing a letter to Eminem, but you see him writing a letter.
Yeah.
Is that what kind of you do with their songs. So you listen to their song several times, break down the lyrics, and then try and visualize that. Or,
Yeah. So it goes. I probably should mention the first music video I properly did was Flat Moon's Demise.
Yep.
And I had no idea what I was doing. I was just winging it. They came to me and said, "Do you want to make?" Well, no. I sent out a load of messages to a load of random artists on Instagram. I was like, "Hey, do you want a music video?" And they got back to me.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, bro, I want a music video. Can you help us out?" And I happened to know one of the band members because he was in our year.
Yeah.
And so they approached me, and so I just winged the process. I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So they came to me with the idea, and then I took their idea and I listened to the lyrics, and I broke the song down into their sections with time codes, so I knew how long each section of the story needs to be in correlation with the narrative.
Yeah.
So as the narrative progresses, it needs to progress in time with the music, because otherwise it would just feel a bit off.
Yeah.
And so break down each section with times, so you understand how much time you need to fill, and then how much story can you tell in that time, and you do that for the entire song, and then you should storyboard.
Yeah.
I didn't. I just winged it.
Did you find that worked for you?
Yeah, I feel like it's much more dynamic on set then.
Yeah. So you can think of things that you didn't think of before, and you go, "Oh, we could do it that way instead of that way."
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot easier to forget things as well.
Yeah.
And so you can get yourself into a bit of a pickle, which I have done many a times. But you just wing it out of it, and it just works. So yeah, and that way it allows for, whilst you're on set, set in air quotes, it allows for the band as well to then come up with ideas, and you just go with that, and you just make it really fluid and creative, and just a really nice, passionate space for the musicians and yourself, just to create this video that essentially celebrating their work and their story that they want to tell. And so it's really serving them, and you have to let go of your ego or what you want to service that.
Because in a sense, it's not your project; it's their project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with a uni-based project, if you're directing that, it can sometimes feel like your project, but it's not. It's everyone's project. It's not your film. It's our film, and in that sense, it's less our film but their film.
Yeah.
That's quite a good way, quite a refreshing way of looking at it.
Because they're bringing you on to do it.
Exactly. You're essentially being hired.
And then,
even though I won't pay.
your unit film is like you're getting them to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when the film's sort of released and sort of like put out in the world, would you say it's like my film, or would you say it's like this is a film I directed, or what would you say? How would you introduce the film to people?
That is a good question. I think if I was to meet somebody in the street and they're asking me what I do at uni, I'll say this is a film that I worked on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is a film that I worked on, and I helped to make it. Well, I directed it.
Yeah.
And it's a film.
Yeah. And something you mentioned earlier about sort of like messaging artists and stuff like that, which is quite interesting to me. So you just sort of went around sort of like just messaging people on Instagram. So what made you like decide to do that? Because it's like I think about that sometimes, trying to get people onto the show and like other projects I'm working on. I'm constantly just sort of like, should I just like message people and just like, do you want to do this? What sort of made you like go to that? Is it sort of like thinking I need something to work on, or was there some sort of like someone going, oh no, Danny, you need to message people, you need to get into the rat race?
Or was it boredom?
Yeah, was it boredom?
I just woke up in a really productive mood that morning.
Really?
I was like, you know what, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, when you just wake up in those moods. And I was probably a mixture of boredom as well.
Yeah.
And I realised, I woke up, productive mood, and then I realised that, oh damn, after uni, what do I do if I don't have any clients? Or can I get work? I was like, can I swear on this?
No.
No. Oh.
I mean, I could bleep it out if you want to swear.
Okay, no, I just want to do it. I just want to do it. Fine,
Okay.
Cool.
Self-control there.
Yeah, yeah.
Self-control.
We like that.
Self-discipline.
I have to like edit out Luke's swear words all the
No,
time.
I do it a lot.
It's
Yeah.
fine. I've watched Kung Fu Panda. I know. I've understand self-discipline
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I can't remember what I was talking about.
About, about finishing university.
Yeah, so that was another thing I was going to ask you
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Sort of, what are your plans sort of post university? Because it is coming up to that time now.
Why you got to say that?
We don't really know what we're going to do.
Blow me out, mate.
That's like 3 months away.
Oh,
It's horrible.
no.
All 4 of us in here, all in 3rd year of a filmmaking degree. You know, it's very employable, I've been told.
Please
you know,
hire us.
yeah.
Please.
You know, we could have gone and studied archaeology and become a well-known archaeologist.
Work at a museum.
Yeah.
With a whip.
With a whip, yeah.
And run away from me.
So, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do after uni. Maybe you know, Danny. Give us some insight. Not of what I'm going to do after uni, but
okay.
what are you going to do after uni?
Okay. Yeah. So, the idea is. Oh, that's a question. That is a question. So, what I think I'm gonna do is I am gonna. So at the moment I'm living in a student house.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go home and live with my parents for a bit.
Yeah.
For 3 months. I want to go home for 3 months, and because I'm quite lucky. I live in Bolton, and Bolton is in a very unique place because it's very close to Manchester, it's very close to Liverpool, and it's very close to Leeds, and they're 3 big hotspots for film and television. And so I want to try and get any work within the industry. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
It's going to get some work.
As a runner.
And team maker.
And I want to get a steady income of jobs so that after the 3 months I can be like, okay, I'm at a place now where I'm getting steady income in the film industry, and now I can move out and find my own place. And then wing it from there.
Would you, because I know a lot of people that we've had talks with in professional futures, they say get a second job. Would you do something like, if that's working at a shop or working at a cinema or working as a waiter or anything like that, would you do that alongside of getting a so you got a backup?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys remember, but a while ago we had someone come into our uni, an ex-student, and he was talking about how he's also a carpenter or something like that.
Yeah, he makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said that sometimes new filmmakers can feel like they've failed if they have to get another job, and that's not the case. No. Like you're allowed to have more money and also have a job that you enjoy.
Yeah.
So more money is working in the bar, and then the job that you enjoy is working in the film industry.
Yeah, I'm loads of people. This guy came in who works at a post-production house. When he first started, he said, I worked as a barman during the evenings, but then take days off if I had a set to go on. So I was working part-time at a film company, working part-time at a pub, and then they kind of cross. So sometimes I can't leave early to do this, and it's temporary, but it gets you stable and
exactly.
Yeah.
Or the other option is get a van, renovate it, and run away.
Yeah.
So there's always that option.
Van life, you know.
Yeah, van life.
Yeah. Well, I think there's lots of different sort of ways into the industry. I think one of the interesting ways I sort of think is like how some people just like raise a bunch of money after the uni and then just sort of try and make a feature film, which is a weird one. I kind of think about sometimes. Is like, should I just like raise loads of money? Because I remember one director I was watching an interview of. He did like medical tests, and because you get paid a lot of money when you do medical tests. You get paid like $4,000 for like a week, and he sort of did that, and he just sort of made his sort of feature film from it, which is a bit weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that feature film called?
I can't remember, but it was a very famous director. And Wes Anderson, he also did a similar thing. So his first feature film, he his dad gave him like $4,000.
Yeah.
But
okay.
you know,
but that's nice of him.
It's nice of him. But you know,
risky in a way, though, isn't it? Doing that.
Yeah.
High risk,
high reward.
Yeah, you know, that could be something you could put into film festival.
But this is one thing I've been struggling with quite a bit recently, and it's whether or not it's self-value, and how do you know whether or not you're actually good,
Yeah.
or
Good at what you do,
there's
yeah.
worth
Yeah.
in what you do. So just because you like to make films doesn't mean that other people want to watch your films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
You
You know?
may like making films, you might be a really bad director, or
Yeah.
a really bad cinematographer, or a really bad something else, but you think you're good at it.
Exactly.
Like
And
being good at podcasts,
Yeah.
so-
I'm amazing at podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's another thing that's also kind of been bugging me as well, and this it's quite hard to explain, but so some people do like charity work and they spend their whole life working in charities and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and they're helping other people and they're doing that sort of thing, and then there's people like me who want to then go into the film industry and make films and entertain people, and so there's me over here trying to earn a lot of money and be rich and famous, and there's this person over there who's spending their whole lives digging wells in Africa and building schools.
But then also, can't you say that films are a distraction to real life as well? So people like the fact that there's escapism and it kind of helps them as well in a way without you really knowing.
Yeah, definitely.
So you may not think that you're doing well, or may think you're not being a charitable person, but there might be people. I mean,
Definitely,
like hospitals and that go watch films, and it's a lot of
Artist
distraction.
escapism,
Yeah.
But so, what were you saying about sort of like digging holes thing? Is that like a conundrum you have in your sort of mind of being like, should I do something to help people, or should I do like art?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, art. Like, okay, yeah, it's nice,
Yeah.
and it can help with escapism, and it's fun to do.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's not really, in my opinion anyway, helping people.
Well, at the same time, if you
And why should you not be the one helping people? Why should it be the other person?
I have a very similar sort of experience because my parents have very those sort of jobs. My dad's a social worker and my mum's a nurse, and it's sort of like thinking, I'm in the film industry. I make podcasts and I occasionally write terrible film reviews. I'm like, my dad's working quite a long time to sort of help people, and I'm like, could I do this? But like,
it just seems pretentious. Like, for me then to go like this, NHS workers, people like during COVID. Okay, during COVID, there were NHS workers risking their lives daily, and then there's the film industry opened up, and then there's filmmakers risking their lives for art. Well, not risking their lives as much. Sorry, that was phrased very poorly. But there's people going back to work before everything else was open, before bars were open or anything, and they're making films. And so it's like, well, there's still a lot to do with COVID, and yet I'm going around making films. And I know that's a very contentious subject, and I don't wish to offend anyone, but it's I'm trying to hammer home the point of why should I not be helping people and saving lives when instead of making films?
But you can also say
and it just sucks.
Not like what you said, but it's their choice as well. They chose to go into the medical field as well. You chose to go into the film field.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah. I'm not blaming anyone for doing anything.
Yeah.
There's terrible NHS workers.
Yeah. Then also you said about like people doing charity work. You can still film that. You can do a documentary on that if you really wanted to still do. If you have that.
It's like that guy who was who we were talking about earlier. Like he did a documentary about what did he do a documentary about the Calais immigrants,
the Calais,
which is quite interesting. That sort of it's bringing sort of a consciousness to sort of people and whatnot. And I think with sort of like certain films, you can bring certain levels of like awareness to certain topics of like self-harm or sort of domestic abuse and stuff like that, which is sort of an interesting thing.
And from that you can get people to come out as well.
It's all sorts of good stuff. But sort of we're nearing the end here. But I was sort of wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Sort of
go for it. I've just found a penny under there.
Yeah, I know. I get quite annoyed by that every sort of week. But what's your sort of favourite film? What's your favourite film? What's sort of the main film that you've been interesting? Top 5 or
I have a top film. I have a top film. It's Kung Fu Panda.
Is it really?
It's Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2.
Oh wow.
Number 3 let me down a bit, but it's okay. I've forgiven them a bit.
I was thinking about that Uguay quote, about the present, past.
Oh,
yeah.
Bro, that hits different.
It's hard.
That does hit hard.
No, I've never thought anyone would actually say Kung Fu Panda is their favourite film, but
Oh, I did it during
it's an interesting one.
during all my film school interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
I what was it? Oh, sorry, I'm so tired. My brain is not working. Yeah, during the film school interviews, they'd say, "Oh yeah, what's your favourite film?" And I'd be like, "Kung Fu Panda," and they'd be like a bit taken back because they're used to like, I don't know, Scorsese films or Five films.
Celine Sciamma film or some weird French New Wave film. Yeah.
Yeah, and people forget that films are just, enjoy your film. So films mean more than just being good, like childhood films.
Yeah, that's why I love Marvel films.
Yeah.
Big egg.
Yeah.
Big.
I wholeheartedly disagree with both of you, but
I know, but I don't. Sometimes
How come?
I'm very sort of. It's got to be sort of intrinsically interesting to me as a. I there's certain stuff I can watch and be like, this is something I can switch off to. I use YouTube for that. If I'm watching a film, I want to be sort of like challenged.
I just don't want to watch a film and feel depressed after
See,
it.
I think I am challenged by Kung Fu Panda. I think I am emotionally and spiritually. I am very much challenged by Kung Fu Panda. It makes me feel things that no other film can.
Yeah. This interview has gone to weird places.
It's like, who are you? He asks questions like, especially the second film, they ask the question of who are you as a person, and it's a celebration of who you are. It's figuring out who you are. Yeah. And so it's an absolute roller coaster of a film.
Yeah. No.
Wow. He's a man, the myth and the legend as well.
The turtle myth and legend.
Yeah.
He's an icon.
Yeah.
An
Wow.
absolute icon.
This is.
I
Apart
think Uguay's better than Yoda.
Yeah, Uguay's
as a teacher.
A small green man,
and a character.
Yeah.
I'm blown him over.
A small green character.
Yeah.
Yoda or Uguay.
Uguay, bro.
Yeah.
Uguay, bro.
Yeah. Wow.
Uguay sense makes me cry every time.
Yeah. This is odd. I'm so confused. My brain has been blown.
What's the other like? Do you like thrillers?
Yeah.
Do you like action?
I like Blade Runner 2049.
Nice.
That's a cracking.
Dennis Villeneuve.
Yeah, I was going to say his name. Yeah.
Sicario, the one he did, is great.
Yeah.
Prisoners as well.
I like all his films.
Yeah,
Apart from his films that I haven't seen, I like all of them because I haven't seen the films, so I can't comment on. What else? I like Planet of the Apes, the new ones.
Yeah.
They're cracking.
Yeah. The guy who's doing the Batman film directed them.
Aye.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the Batman.
Do you like animal films then?
Warhorse.
I think so. Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda.
That's a good
Planet of
point.
the Apes.
Well, I mentioned at the beginning I want to be a zoologist.
Yeah.
Oh.
Going full circle. Yeah.
You have a spiritual awakening there.
I told you, Kung Fu Panda makes you discover new things about yourself.
Yeah. It'll be a couple of years' time. You'll be directing some sort of weird. Zootopia, real life Zootopia.
Should do a in quotation marks, live action Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah. God. A remake of Planet of the Apes. Another remake of Planet of the Apes.
I mean, no, but it shouldn't be a remake. It should be like a prequel of like not of Uguay though. It should be like sequel, but when Poe is like the teacher, and I'm not gonna say it on air because I don't want anyone to see my idea. I don't want to. You're gonna go home. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah.
As long as we get part in it, then.
Yeah. I want a panda suit.
Yeah, you can.
No, I mean acting. You keep the idea to yourself.
No, I want to be a panda.
He wants to be a panda.
You want to be Poe?
Yeah. I want to be all the pandas.
We're not going to do motion capture though. We're just going to have people dressed up in panda suits.
Yeah, just panda suits.
Got out a real panda.
Yeah, get some real pandas. Get some people dressed up as pandas.
Let's do it.
Yeah, just fight each other.
You can only go on tonight and start writing the script tonight.
Yeah.
No.
That'll be his next thing.
No.
But anyway, on that note of Danny's next film of a real life Kung Fu Panda.
What would the title be though?
That's a good question.
What animal would you get him to fight?
Oh no.
The Kung Fu ring.
They fought a crane. They fought a tiger.
Yeah.
What was the third one?
The third one? No, the third one was like, was it a buffalo or
buffalo?
An ox?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. They've already done Crocodile.
Have they?
No, but Croc, he was a Master Croc in the second film. He was a good guy. He pulled through in the end. They gave up, but then they pulled through. in Gongmen jail. You know, they had the whole battle to get him out, and he was like, "No, I'm not leaving this jail." And he like did a flippy thing, and like pushed him against the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, you know so much about Kung Fu Panda.
Oh yeah.
Scorpion.
It's good.
Scorpion. Oh, he could fight a scorpion.
Yeah.
Oh, against Scorpion.
Yeah.
Oh, because then he's got to like battle with the whole tail thing.
Yeah.
Bruh.
We got this. We got
Hell
this.
yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody steal my Kung Fu Panda.
No,
idea,
nobody
right?
steal
Trademark it.
Don't
As soon as
do
you
it.
get
Yeah,
your own trademark it.
Nobody's still doing the Kung Fu Panda idea.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. So no, I'm going to leave that on that note. So yeah, thank you, Danny, for coming on. Thank you for
Yes,
talking about
thank you for putting up with my deliriousness.
Yeah.
I'm not usually like this.
No.
I usually make much more
Through
sense.
the technical difficulties and
Lots of technical
whatnot.
difficulties. We had to
We'll
switch.
pull through.
We had to switch mics partway through because we've been recording through like a room mic thing and individual mics, and the individual mics just sort of conked out partway through. But hopefully next week we'll have it all fixed because last week the studio is completely broken. Yeah, so thank you, Danny, for coming on, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Bye.